Hello everyone. Before we get into the topic of today's video, I wanted to share a interesting little Ark Nova puzzle. So it's my friend Employee 427 who's playing. As you can see, he has a perfect karma score. Very nice player. Never had been an issue with his karma at all. He's fairly decent player and is in a bit of a rough situation here. So our endgame is our hand is over here, and our in-game is Architectural Zoo. So right now we have 21 points, but we're also missing 2 beers for Polar Bear Exhibit. Aquarium is not gonna be doable. We have this one fulfilled. This one is not gonna be doable either. We're missing 3 rep for Talented Communicator. This one is fulfilled. So, what do you think is the best course of actions right here? We do have the Mercat then, and the Polar Bear Exhibit, so it's important to remember that when doing your animals. As you can see, our opponent has 15 endgame points, but he also has, we know, which even complicates this even further, we know he has a Asian elephant in hand, we know he has the Asian reptile, hypnosis one, and we know he has a European eagle in hand as well. And we're gonna assume he's gonna end it next turn. So we have 2 more turns to get as many points as possible. What do you think is the best course of action? Also, important to note, we haven't done Urbis Wars yet. We have our 5th one in our hand. But yeah, how do we sequence this to get as much points as possible? Yeah, good luck. I hope someone comes up with a good answer. Okay, I wanted to showcase this project me and Darcelmaw was working on quite a while back now. So we wanted a more balanced version of Ark Nova, because we felt like a lot of thing in Ark Nova is kind of bullshit. Even if it's a great game, there's some big flaws. So first things first, what did we remove? So we removed 3 base cons: the species diversity, continents, and monkeys. The reason we removed monkeys is it's very hard to do, and we also removed a lot of monkeys because we both felt like monkeys weren't a strong animal type. We also removed the bonuses from over here, where you get a free handshake or a free university, because usually it leads to a big snowball start for one of the players. Then we also changed the endgames, and we should probably have changed a bit more, but we lost interest in it for a bit. So we made large animal a little bit easier to fulfill. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Makes a whole lot of sense. The rock and water one we combined into one, which I think is super cool. And it's actually like doable, because if in the base game you have to get really lucky to fulfill the rock or water ones, and they're usually the worst in the game. Architectural Zoo, I think this is a very weak end game, but we didn't get around to changing it, which we should have probably done, because it's very weak and hard to fulfill. Fairy Zoo we didn't change. Small Animal Zoo we didn't change either, but this is also one we should have changed. Same with Natural Zoo. Conservation Zoo, we basically reduced it by 1 on every level, but as you see, you only get a sad face if you only do 2 cons. So yeah. Research Show we didn't change. Sponsored Zoo we did a little bit easier. And then we had to add 1 more endgame since we removed 1, which was Participation Trophy, which I actually showed to the designer of Ark Nova, and he really liked it. So maybe next expansion we'll have something similar. Okay, so what did we add? to the game. So I think the most important thing is we made it able to get 2 bonus shields. So 1 bonus shield you get for being the player who causes the last break, and the other bonus shield you get by being the first one to cross. And I think both of these changes makes a lot of sense, because usually there's a lot of stalling around the last break and whoever crosses the first. So I really like those changes. We also changed, let's see here. We changed this one, so you don't have to pay money for it anymore, because this is usually the weakest bonus on the track. And we said, oh, you don't have to pay money for it anymore. I thought that was a fair compromise. We also did some rebalancing of the maps. As you can see, Watchtower got a huge makeover. And the funny thing is, it was still the worst map. But we opened up a lot of the area around the Watchtower and moved the rocks over here instead. But the problem still remains that it's kind of split. It's hard to get water access near the Watchtower. But yeah, it's still awful map. Hollywood Hills we buffed a little bit, but nothing too drastic. Basically, all we did was changing this is usually put an action back for a clever spot, and we changed it to play a sponsor card for money. Outdoor areas, we just added build 2 here. We didn't feel like it needed much. Usually we added it over here instead of here, but it felt like the map got a little bit weak when we added it here. So we still wanted to get to have someone access to early upgrade. Silver Lake, we changed a lot of stuff. So no more determination, first of all. 2 rep, it's almost as good as determination. But yeah, no. Even if we did that, the map was still too strong. So we took this rep spot that's usually over here, and we moved it. Or is it here? No, it's here. We moved it down to here. And there used to be a snapping point here, which we just removed completely. And the funny thing is that Silver Lake was still the strongest map in Darcelmaw. So it just shows you how busted this map is in the original game. We also trimmed a lot of the bad cards. I thought there was a pile for it, but I can't find it. And then we also made some changes to some cards. So Diversity Researcher. Actually, old one is over here. Diversity Researcher. We just reduced the cost by 2. It's a very weak upgrade sponsor card. And like, it would be good if it was just a bit cheaper, I think. But it's very weak. Sea Turtle Tank. I'm planning to do a sponsor video, but this is probably the worst sponsor card in the game. And it's very redundant. So we took the easy way and just made it like the other ones. You just get bonus for playing reptiles instead of absolutely doing nothing. Barrel Alhot we just reduced by 1 cost, because it's, unless Burst is a base con, it's a very weak sponsor card. You can kind of combo off it if you're doing birds, but we felt like let's just reduce the cost by 1. Also, one very important change we did, because this was based on 3-player game, a 3-player arc, and we felt like the experts was very strong when the base con was up here. So what we did is we said, okay, you don't get money for other people playing Predators if it's up as a base con. And I think that makes a lot of sense in 3 players, and especially 4 players, which all of these cards are kind of ridiculous in 4-player games. So yeah, that's a really good change as well, I think. We also added some new cards, and they're mostly based on real people. So first things first is the Flying Muskrat, which is, I think, is a very cool mechanic. Read it on screen here. And it's obviously based on Flying Muskrat on the BGA. She was actually the person that got me into BGA because she was boasting about her being #1 at the leaderboard. I was very anti BGA, and then I basically just wanted to take her down. It's a very cool card, I feel. We also added a Darcel Hummingbird. It's a expensive petting zoo that doesn't take up enclosure space in the petting zoo. It only gives 2 appeal, which I also feel is kind of cool because you can either play it early to make all your other petting zoos more valuable, or you can play it later when you already played your petting zoos to at least get some extra value from the petting zoo. Turns out 14 gold for a petting zoo is too much, so we didn't get around to it, but we should have reduced the cost. This one was probably my favorite card, Black Market. So basically you can release anything that's not a petting zoo. But downside to it, it doesn't give rep like the other release programs do. And other people can use it as well. So I think it's a cool effect because you can put it out, but other people can still take advantage from it. And I feel like it wasn't too strong. It feels a bit. You just see the card, it feels a bit strong, but I don't think so because it kind of balances itself out with everyone being able to do it. Then we have the business magnets. So it's just experimentation, pretty much. We felt that there was no cards that needed upgraded cards, and we felt like upgrading cards was kind of weak upgrade. So we wanted to do one upgrade card for every continent, and this is the African one. And I think the mechanic is kind of cool that you move break back, since you can get a lot of value just selling your cards. The absolute most useless one. This is based on a person named Annie, and he's not a very good arc player. This card was pretty much awful. The effect is... I really like the effect though, but it's just too bad of a card, pretty much. Then we have the Wildlife Expert. It's not based on anyone in particular. And as you can see, it requires free Australia to play. And the reason is, I think we had 2 or 1 Australia first, and it was very good. It was very good, but I think we overdid the nerfing a bit too much because free Australia is just way too much. Also, first we had it as any card, not just an animal card. But yeah, I think a kind of tutor effect in Ark Nova would be cool. So yeah. And then we had a Russian spy. I think this person the card is based on is probably one of the funniest Ark Nova players out there. Her name is Korvistukas, if you ever been to TTS Club. Yeah, she says a lot of funny things when it comes to board gaming. I don't know if she knows how hilarious she is because, yeah, many funny things I've heard. Um, and yeah, she was known for breaking for 5 and looking at other people's hand, which she blamed on lag. We also kind of wanted a pilfer mechanic that actually targeted the player in lead and not just the person who at the time has the most appeal. In more than 2 players, I think pilfering is kind of stupid mechanic because you're just gonna hit whoever has the most appeal at that time, which is a bit unfortunate. Okay, so final thoughts. I forgot to mention as well that we had a house rule that you can look at your hand and decide what map you want to play before you pick your cards, and I think that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, I think it's It's kind of cool modification. We didn't get bored of it, but everything got scripted, and then we just started. It was hard to translate this into a scripted version, and then we just started playing the scripted version instead. And so, big shout out to Grim Nebulin. He's the creator of the Arc Nova mod on TTS. So he put this together for me because he's just a nice guy. So yeah, if you guys want to try it, or if you have any thoughts about it, I'm gonna leave a link to the mod on TTS.